But let's take the conversation forward. The one stock which has seen a huge swing up is actually Glenmark Pharma after its numbers in the conference call, which just concluded. Stock holding up a solid 4% right now. Let's take the conversation forward. We've got V.S. Money, the Executive Director and Global Chief Financial Officer at Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, here on the show right now. Mr. Money, hi, morning. Great to have you on the show. We were just logging on to your con call, and I'm going to talk about the earnings in just a bit, but what we want to understand, and I guess everyone on the street as well, is more details about the USFDA inspection which happened at your Indore facility. Tell me, what was the nature of those 5 observations?
So, the inspection in Indore was happening after 6 years. So obviously, it was quite detailed. And in terms of those 5 observations, obviously, we feel that these are something that we can respond to. And obviously, we do not have any DI issues. That's what we believe. I think we'll watch and wait for further details. Yeah.
Details on the nature of those 5 observations, clearly?
Clearly, there is no DI issue in those, and I think we can respond to those 5 observations, and I think we can work with the FDA to resolve these issues.
Tell me, how much does this Indore facility particularly contribute to your overall revenues?
Our overall US revenues, it contributes about 25%, but in terms of new launches, these are mainly for the oral solids. So our respiratory, etc., is not from this plant. So I think in that sense, while obviously we would want that things all work out very well, but it's about 25% of our US business.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Money. This is Shrishti also joining in. But on to your earnings, give us a sense on your India business as well, because back in Q2, you did highlight that there could be some slowdown impact. And for the whole pharma industry, you were projecting a low single-digit growth. But given Q3 performance, India business was once again seen to be taking a backseat. But going ahead in Q4, what sort of a recovery can we see in, and what's the outlook for the pharma space?
Sure. Let me give you a broad, feel of our whole India business. So obviously, we had guided that in FY25 we would do at about 1100 crores per quarter. So the first half was very good. Okay, it really did well. But I think even taking for the third quarter, we still had about 6.5% growth. Okay, so I think overall for the year we should see the year end at about, as I said, about on an average about 1100 crores and per quarter, and then we'll see how the Q4 goes. As of now, the acute respiratory is a bit under pressure, so that's important for us. So we'll see how it goes. But I think for the full year, we continue to maintain our guidance. Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Money. This is Shell also joining in the conversation. You did speak about respiratory. I was going to come exactly to that because your results were pretty good. 2 segments that have not performed well. One is the respiratory and your diabetes segments. If you could help us understand why both of these are actually lagging, and what's the way forward with both of these segments?
So I think obviously we'll also have to look at what works well for us. We've been saying that acute has not done well. We are hoping that in the coming quarters it will pick up. But what has done well for us are also the chronic respiratory is an important part. Also from our India business perspective, we have these Beijing products with whom we are tied up, Teslizumab and Zanubrutinib. So I think these should continue. These should help us to do well. As far as the diabetes products goes, obviously we have a good product in Lirafit. We had some supply issues, but we're hoping from this quarter it will do well. In terms of the earlier products that we used to have, Remogliflozin and Teneligliptin, there are some new DPPs and SGLTs which are better. But on an overall basis, if you look at the rest of the business, you look at our cardiac segment or our derma, we continue to do well. So I think India, even if you look at IQVIA, as of December, we continue to outperform the market. So we'll see how the acute respiratory works. I think we should be able to take care in the coming quarters.
Right. Mr. Mani, what I wanted to understand was how the performance of the US business is in particular, and the pricing environment now.
Sure. Thank you. So let me first take the overall US business. So I think in the current quarter and the last couple of quarters, we've not had any meaningful launches. So that's the reason why even in this quarter, if you look at it, it's more like a flat quarter. But going forward, we've already given in our call as well that we have our generic Flovent coming up, and as well as we also have some nasal sprays and respiratory launches coming up. Besides that, we also have 8 injectable products coming up. So I think all in all, in the next couple of years, we look at US business improving from here on. So as far as the pricing environment goes, I mean, it's all lower single digit erosion, but I think product launches are key, and I think in the coming quarters, we have lined up quite a few good, exciting opportunities. I think those should help us to do well.
Mr. Mani, also give us a sense that since you are saying that it's been a low single-digit decline in the U.S. pricing, but going ahead, what is the outlook? And also that there are so many chatters around that the U.S. tariff can have implications on the Indian pharma industry as well. At one side, we see that in the U.S., the government is focusing to bring the cost of medicines lower, especially for the generic markets. But on the flip side, tariff imposition is also a risk, especially for the Indian markets. Help us understand that how are you foreseeing all the situations to pan out and impact the industry?
So as far as the price, erosions is concerned, over the last couple of quarters, they've kind of stabilized a bit. I mean, in the sense, it is not like how it used to be very high single digits, or even some 1 or 2 quarters in the past, even seen double-digit growths. But then the double-digit declines. But those are not there now. But as far as the tariff goes, we have to watch and wait, because but just to give you some, from our business point of view, US contributes about 23% of overall business. Our Europe and ROW also are about 22-23%, and India is anyway about 30% plus. So I think we are well spread, so we don't have, we're not depending on only one geography or one segment to take care of our overall business. So I think, but as far as the tariff situation is concerned, we have to watch and wait and see how it pans out.
I wanted to understand about your product launch pipeline, actually. If you could help us understand what's exactly happening on that particular front, because the company was awaiting approval for about 4 respiratory products that were filed in Q4 of FY23. If you could help us understand what's the pipeline right now, what's the timeline, what one should expect?
Sure. Yeah. Like I just told you, in the US, we have a couple of respiratory launches coming up in terms of, one is a generic Flovent, and then we are also looking at the nasal sprays, as well as some of the, even in the longer term, if you look at it, we also had indicated during our call, we could have 3 F2Fs coming in some time. So I think that way, if you look at it, our US business looks in a better trajectory in the coming months. As far as these 4 respiratory launches are concerned, etc., in Europe, we had given even during last quarter, we are waiting for, 6 to 9 months, it should come. But in the meanwhile, Europe business continues to do well. Ryaltris continues to do quite well. So as we had indicated during our call also, Ryaltris is like almost like 80 million business this year. So that's where it is. And as far as India goes, again, we spoke about, I did tell you about this overall oncology portfolio that we have from some 2 of the key products that are from Beijing. So I think these are these things that will help us. Even in our emerging markets, again, our respiratory products continue to do well. So, and Ryaltris continues to grow very well. So I think all in all, it does look good for us in terms of product launches, as well as in terms of the growth that we see in the coming quarters.
Sure. Also, Mr. Mani, if you could tell us how much revenues are coming from Ryaltris, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, because currently, as we understand, it's expected to be launched in about 12 to 15 additional markets over the next few quarters, right? How much will it add to then your revenues going forward?
Right now it is about 80 million, and we have looked at peak sales of between 150 to 200 million. So I think as the years go by, year after year, it should continue to do well. I mean, obviously, like last year, we almost doubled from where we were, so that may not be possible every year. But since the product is doing well and it is getting launched in various markets, we do see a very good growth. And in next 2 to 3 years, we see those levels like, 152 million, 200 million kind of sales coming from this product.
All right. And lastly, Mr. Mani, give us a sense on your margins as well, because for FY25, your EBITDA margin guidance was close to 19%. And what we understand is your gross margin guidance was also to 67 to 68% range for the upcoming years. Are you sticking to that particular guidance, or any revisions being made there? And also, what is the likely impact of the Forex on your margins, and what's the outlook there?
Yeah, thanks. So in terms of, I'll comprehensively answer both the gross contribution as well as the EBITDA margins. If you look at it, we had guided to first of all, let me say we had guided to a sale in the current year about 13,500. We already done about 10,000 plus. And quarter four is normally good. So we should meet our sales guidances. Besides, as far as our EBITDA goes, we are at about 18%, but we did have some currency losses in the current quarter, which we indicated about 71 crores. So taking that, we would be closer to 19. I think we do expect that we should be close to the 19% in the current year. And also, we had given even during earlier our investor conference, etc. We said we'll improve by a percentage half every year. That should happen in that sense. As far as the gross margin goes, we have consistently been at about 67 to 68. I think going forward, it should be the same. And maybe with some good launches, it could slightly improve as well. And also other guidances that we had given in terms of our R&D capex, I think we are very much all within what we had guided. So we are pretty close to the guidances that we have given.
So we should not expect any revision, or are you looking to revise by any chance?
No, we're not revising anything. I just gave you an indication that even EBITDA without the currency losses would have been closer to the numbers that we indicated. Yeah.
All right, then we leave it there. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on ET Now to talk about your earnings, comprehensively answering all of those questions. Street definitely liking your earnings, your commentary as well. If you see the stock price right now at the day's highest point, that is Glenmark Pharma for you, 4% uptick coming in for that particular counter. The management sounding pretty optimistic of the roadmap ahead. So that's the take coming in from the management of Glenmark Pharma.